The morning started like any other. I was sitting on my porch with a mug of hot coffee, the woods around me quiet except for the occasional bird call. The peace was broken by the sound of tires crunching gravel. I looked up and saw a shiny SUV pull up to the front of my property. Behind the wheel was a woman I recognized all too well. In the passenger seat sat a man with a clipboard, squinting at my cabin as if he were sizing it up for an inspection. The woman leaned toward him, gesturing at my home with the confidence of someone presenting her prize. "This is the property I mentioned. Perfect for the market," she said loudly enough that her voice carried across the yard. A knot formed in my stomach. That was my home she was pointing at, not some piece of real estate she had the right to sell. I'd never listed it. My name was still on the deed. Yet here she was, speaking like she already owned it. The man glanced at her, clearly unsure. He tapped his clipboard and asked, "So the owner is inside?" Her lips curled into a smug smile. "Don't worry about that, he won't be a problem. I run this neighborhood." I rose from my chair, coffee still in hand, and watched as they climbed out of the SUV. My dog bristled beside me, barking sharply at the intrusion. I raised a hand to calm him, my eyes locked on the pair as they approached the front gate like trespassers who thought they had every right. She waved her phone at me as if she were in charge and shouted, "Go ahead and unlock this gate. We have a showing scheduled." My heart thudded, but I didn't raise my voice. Instead, I walked down slowly, pulled a heavy chain through the gate, and locked it tighter than before. Then I picked up a wooden sign I had painted just last night. With steady hands, I nailed it to the fence. Bold black letters faced them. "Private property, not for sale." Her face went crimson the moment she read it. She slammed her hands against the gate and shouted, "You can't do this. I already told people this place is available. You're going to regret interfering." The realtor stepped back, unease written all over his face. "Ma'am, are you sure this is your listing?" he asked softly. "Because this doesn't seem right." She snapped at him with manufactured authority. "I'm part of the HOA. If I say this cabin is for sale, then it's for sale." I leaned closer to the gate and lowered my voice so only she could hear. "Then you're about to find out how wrong you are." Her eyes widened when I raised my phone and hit record. I aimed the camera at her angry face and said loud enough for the realtor to hear, "This woman is attempting to sell my home without permission." The man's jaw dropped. "Wait, you're the actual owner?" he stammered. "Of course I am," I said, pulling a plastic sleeve from under my arm. Inside was the deed to my cabin, proof I had grabbed earlier in case things escalated. I held it high so he could see. The realtor turned on her with disbelief. "You signed paperwork claiming you had full authorization. You told me this was your property." Karen's confidence cracked. Her words stumbled. "Well, it is. I mean, it will be. He doesn't belong here anyway. This land falls under WA control." I let out a dry laugh. "This cabin was built before your WA even existed. Your paperwork means nothing here." The realtor realized he'd been duped. His face drained of color, and he muttered, "This could cost me my job," before retreating toward his car. That should have ended it, but she wasn't ready to give up. She dialed her phone furiously, her voice shrill. "You'll see. I'll have the police here in minutes. You can't outplay me." I didn't move. What she didn't know was that the last time someone tried calling the cops on me, the responding officer had been an old army buddy. He was still just a call away. Sure enough, 15 minutes later, 2 patrol cars crawled up the gravel road, red and blue lights flashing across the trees. Karen straightened her back, waving them over like a queen commanding her guards. "Officers, over here," she barked, pointing at me through the gate. "This man is trespassing on WA property. Arrest him at once." The officers exchanged glances. One raised an eyebrow. "Trespassing? He's standing on the porch of that house." She grew louder, desperation creeping in. "Yes, but he isn't supposed to be here. I've already listed the property. He's lying about ownership." She shoved her phone at them, displaying the fake documents she had thrown together. I leaned casually on the fence. "Funny thing," I said, pulling out my folder. "This deed has been mine for 15 years. Paid in cash, no mortgage, no WA contracts, no ties to anyone." The taller officer studied the documents, flipping through carefully. He looked back at her, eyes sharp. "Ma'am, These records come straight from the county clerk. They prove he owns this property free and clear. Do you have anything official that says otherwise? Karen's mouth opened and closed. He must have forged those papers. He's lying. The second officer chuckled under his breath. So now the county clerk's office is part of a fraud. That's a new one. Her cheeks burned red, but instead of stopping, she lashed out. Fine. If you won't arrest him, then I'll press charges for harassment. He threatened me. That's when I lifted my phone higher and tapped play. Her own voice echoed out loud for everyone to hear. If I say this cabin is for sale, it's for sale. The officers froze, both turning their gaze to her. One smirked. Care to rethink that accusation, ma'am? Karen's mask slipped completely. She lunged toward me, reaching for the phone, but the officer stopped her. Stay where you are. We're going to need your ID. She cursed under her breath but pulled out her wallet reluctantly. The taller cop ran her information. The radio crackled with the response. Subject has prior complaints of fraud and harassment in multiple counties. The officer's jaw tightened. He looked at her squarely. So, this isn't your first time running this scam. Her excuses tumbled out. Those complaints were lies. People misunderstood. I was helping the neighborhood. I folded my arms. By selling homes that don't belong to you. She snapped, voice breaking. You don't deserve this cabin. You barely use it. I keep property values high. I'm the one they trust. The officer cut her short. Impersonating owners, filing fake listings, attempting to sell real estate you don't own, those are felonies. He stepped forward. You're not going anywhere. She panicked, spinning toward the patrol car. No, you don't get it. I have connections. The WA board will back me. But I was ready for that. I pulled out a second phone and played footage from the hidden camera I'd set up earlier at the gate. Her voice rang out clearly. This is the property I told you about. Perfect for the market. The officer's eyes went wide. Without hesitation, one ordered, turn around. Hands behind your back. The metallic click of handcuffs snapped through the woods. For the first time that day, Karen was silent. But the silence didn't last long. She twisted in their grip, shouting, you can't do this. The WA board will clear my name. They know I was protecting values. Moments later, another SUV pulled up. Out stepped two men and a woman in business suits, the WA board. They looked annoyed, clearly summoned against their will. Karen lit up, yelling from the back seat, tell them. Tell these officers I had every right. We were selling this dump for the good of the neighborhood. But instead of support, the board froze when they noticed my camera still recording. The woman muttered, she actually went through with it. One of the men rubbed his forehead. We told her not to push it this far. The officer's ears perked up. So you did know about this scheme. Their eyes darted anywhere but at me. I held up my phone so the glowing red record button was clear. Don't bother denying it. You're all on tape. The woman snapped, her voice icy. You can't release that footage. It'll ruin the HOA's reputation. I smiled faintly. That's the idea. Karen erupted, screaming from the car. You cowards. You promised to back me. You said we'd split the money. The confession rang out like a death blow. The officers exchanged looks of grim satisfaction. The taller one shut the patrol car door on her, furious, shouting.